The BBC has apologized to President Trump over a documentary that selectively edited a clip of his January 6, 2021 speech. The edit spliced together parts of the speech that were nearly 1 hour apart, giving the impression that Trump had called for violence.
The documentary was aired in the run-up to the 2024 election, while the BBC has now retracted the documentary and it apologized to Trump's legal team. Trump's legal team is calling for compensation, which the BBC are refusing to pay. NTD's international correspondent Malcolm Hudson brings us more on the story from London.
The British Broadcasting Corporation, or BBC, sent a personal apology to President Trump on Thursday, but said they believe there is no legal basis for Trump to sue the public broadcaster over a documentary Trump's lawyers called defamatory. The BBC edit created the false impression that Trump had called for violence ahead of the January 6th Capitol breach. Speaking to the BBC, British Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy said it is right the BBC apologised.
I am confident that they've already started the work to get not just the right processes in place to make sure this doesn't happen again and get consistency across the board, but also to get the right mix of experience at the top of the organisation to make sure that those high journalistic standards are well understood at the top of the organisation and are upheld.
Last Sunday, Trump's lawyers threatened to sue the BBC for damages of up to $1 billion unless it withdrew the documentary, apologised to the president, and compensated him for financial and reputational harm. The BBC said the splicing of the speech was a, quote, error of judgement. It has withdrawn the documentary and apologised, but is refusing to pay compensation, and is now waiting for Trump's response to their apology. The BBC's Panorama news programme ran a documentary where they spliced together two parts of Trump's speech on January 6, 2021. It aired just before the US presidential election in 2024. The edit changed the meaning of the speech, creating the impression Trump had explicitly called for violence.
They played the following clip.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell.
But here is what Trump really said.
Right here, we're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
Trump said, fight like hell, 54 minutes later in a separate part of his speech. On Thursday, the Telegraph newspaper reported the BBC also doctored the same speech in a similar way in 2022, more than 2 years before the Panorama edit aired. Trump's legal team said this shows a pattern of defamation against Trump. Responding to the fresh claims, a BBC spokesperson said the BBC holds itself to the highest editorial standards and is now looking at the matter. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt on Thursday said the BBC's edits are a clear example of fake news.
The president has made it very clear that this is a leftist propaganda machine that is unfortunately subsidized by British taxpayers, and he thinks that's extremely unfortunate for the great people of the United Kingdom and Great Britain.
The BBC has been thrown into its biggest crisis in decades amid allegations of bias, including on the edit of Trump's speech. The claims came to light because of a leaked report by a BBC standards official. 2 senior executives have since resigned. Malcolm Hudson, NTD News, UK.